Okay, so this is a recent channel. His name is Sno0ks, where he talks about how he's 35 years old. He's a quote unquote loser, which he really isn't. But according to societal standards, they would label him as one because he lives with his mom. He and relies, well, I'm not sure if he relies on her for money or what, but he's broke. Um, he's in debt. He doesn't have much going for him. And at this time that he made this video, I believe he was either unemployed or he was already working at that supermarket pushing carts. Now, recently, he got a better job, more in the office, so at least he's making more money and is doing better now. But right now, it's 55 minutes long. I'm not gonna go through the entirety of it because it's a long one, but yeah, let's get right to it.
Okay. I don't really know why I'm doing this. That's a lie. I know why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I feel helpless, and there's a kind of power in talking about problems. And I'm also kind of narcissistic, so I want to share it with all of you.
I like how he pointed out his mistakes, though. He points out what's wrong with him.
I recently made the decision to stop smoking in my live streams because I think it's immoral. A lot of the people watching them, they're gaming live streams. A lot of people watching them are kids, so I think it's not moral to smoke while you're doing that in front of those people. But I'm not going to push this out to my subs, so. And I'm still smoking. If I'm going to do something like this, there's just no way I can do it without smoking. So if you're a kid, let this be the first lesson. Don't smoke. I don't know what's going to happen to me 10 to 15 years from now. Statistically speaking, it's not looking good. But hopefully I quit very soon. It's on my list of things to do. But I apologize for even doing this, but I'm weak, and I need to do it if I'm going to do what I want to do here.
Oh, man.
Probably smoke 10 of them before this is over. So I am a 35-year-old loser. And there's no getting around that fact. I spent all of my 20s and half of my 30s so far doing almost nothing productive. I smoked pot. I watched porn. I played video games.
He's very honest.
And I never took the time to really invest in my future, my finances, skill sets, knowledge bases, all that. It's not that I have no knowledge or skills, but none of it's very marketable. It might be marketable for something like YouTube, but I'm old enough to know, and I'm old enough to the point where I don't have the luxury of time where I can bet on YouTube or content creation or whatever to pay off. I'm going to do it. No matter what I do, I'll make room for this in some capacity just because I just feel like I need some kind of like creative, comedic kind of outlet. So, but I recognize that it's not the kind of thing that you can bank on making a living off of. And even if you get lucky, and maybe you're making good money for like a 5-year period, that can go away overnight.
Yeah, so, it's true. He's right about that. And I mean, you can still do YouTube, but you want to make sure that, you want to make sure that you have a good amount of savings. I would say like 1 year's worth of savings, and you also have like money on in the market to be able to have it grow to a retirement amount by the time you're 65. But that's just what I feel. But more important, I mean, the basics of it is like you want to have savings. At least have like, with the economy now, have like a year's worth, so that way, in case something happens, if YouTube doesn't work out or the gig work is dying out, you can at least fall back on something.
I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket only because it makes zero sense. If I was 20, 25, I could do it with less risk, but I'm not.
That's true.
I'm 35. I just turned 35 2 months ago. 2 months ago to the day, actually. And that's the first lesson. Well, the second lesson after don't do this. But I want to teach, impart upon young people. Although I have a feeling if you found this video, you're probably not that young, but in the off chance that I do get a couple of youngsters here. And I know that the 40 and 50-year-olds are laughing at me because 35 is young, whatever. Compared to a 20-year-old, I'm old as fuck. Yeah. The first thing I want to impress upon you, if you're in your 20s,
I'm 36. I feel old as fuck too, especially to like those who are under 35.
Even if you're like pre-30, and again, I don't want anyone who's over 30 to lose hope here, because I don't think it's over at 35 or even 45. But what happens as you age is your options shrink. Your options rapidly fall away.
That is true.
And what you might have done in your 20s, maybe you take a couple of years, maybe 5 years to explore different career path options. When you start to near 40, you have less time to spend researching that kind of stuff and developing an idea of what you would like to do for a living. So
yeah,
it's very
because
important.
people will, like, the thing is, when you're older, people will have more expectations of you having your shit together. So if you're like above 35 and you're like broke, you don't own a condo or a car or anything, pretty much you don't have you really don't have much going. Sad to say, people will judge you and frown upon you for that. You know, I mean, I wish I was wrong, but that's just sadly what society is. And not to mention with age discrimination, you know, when you're trying to get a job, they don't hire 40-plus-year-olds. They want to hire like the youngsters, the kids, the under 30-year-old kids, maybe 30 something if that's the cutoff point. But yeah,
that you do that work as early as possible. If you're a teenager, that's great. 20s, whatever. Again, 30s even. Like, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm just going to roll over and die here. That is not the message I want to impart on anyone. For myself, I'm not going to do that. But also, if you are over 30,
yeah,
40, you know,
it's just harder. Of course, it's still doable, but it's just harder when you're older.
It's not. Trust me, the alternative is far worse than what you'll have to go through. Well, I shouldn't say trust me. I've done it yet. But you know what I'm saying. I'm not trying to take the wind out of anybody's sails. I'm just trying to really what I'm trying to do is just assuage my own anxiety by talking about this, and maybe as a secondary goal, I can impart a little bit of advice to people who maybe can benefit from it. The number one thing: don't smoke. The number one thing.
He's basically telling you guys, don't be like him. Don't develop bad habits like what he has done, and that's what got him to a bad point at 35. But of course, like what we were saying, he can still make it. He can still better himself. It's not too late, but it's just harder.
But yeah, a big piece of advice I would give to you is if you're in your 20s, those 20s go by real fast, and you want to get a handle on your future as early as possible, because every year that you don't is a year you'll never get back, and it's 1 year less you'll have to play with later.
It's like what Dad Mode and Dark Mode mentioned. You're 20. You don't have much time, even in your 20s.
So I have to get your shit together. So start early, because I can guarantee you, if you don't, you will regret it.
Yeah,
I'm experiencing it firsthand.
I guess it's like a kid for a 35-year-old.
Tell all here. I'm 35 years old, and I live at home with my mother. And we're actually living in my grandfather's house. Not to besmirch my mother, but you know, we both kind of fucked up with her money. Although she's doing a lot better than I am. She worked for many years in a good career, so she has money a little bit, decent social security. So she's okay, I think. I hope. But I've never left home, and I've never told anybody this. So if my friends see this, it's gonna be embarrassing.
Well, you're a brave man for sharing this.
You know, back in the day in high school, I worked in Burger King. Looks like I'm gonna be working there again real soon. After that, I worked retail a couple of years, delivered pizza a couple of years. Loved that job. Pay wasn't amazing, and with the I delivered with my own vehicle. If you ever, by the way, if you're ever thinking about delivering anything, pizza, whatever, never do it with your own vehicle, because just take whatever you're making and take like 90% of it and just throw it in the trash, because all that's going to go to car repairs. They usually pay for your gas while you're driving. Even then, I don't think they pay for fully, but they pay for most of it. But the amount of money that you will spend, there's another piece of advice. If you're thinking about delivering pizza or whatever, always use a company car. Never take a job if you have to use your own car. I know that's probably most local places you'll have to use your own car. I'm telling you, it's a fucking scam. The amount of money you're going to spend on repairs, oil changes, and not even just repairs and oil changes.
Yeah, that's true.
At a certain point, the repairs just become not worth it anymore. You just have to get.
I'm going to skip that part.
So I delivered pizza.
Again, no disrespect, because the video's long, and I'm not going to cover everything here.
And then I went to work after that at the mortgage company that my mother worked at. She was a VP in the servicing department, and I went to work in the servicing department. I was a Nepo baby. And for 12 years, I worked at this mortgage company as a Nepo baby in what is basically an entry-level position. By the end of what I was doing, I had more responsibilities. It was a little more complicated than an entry-level position, but not by much. I was only making like 21 and change an hour, which is not a lot, working barely 35 hours a week. And I got laid off last December. The company's been doing kind of rough, and the market is horrible right now, and they're not immune to it.
It's tough.
I think the company like literally lost like half of its employees over the last few years, and I didn't make it through the last round. And basically ever since then, for the last 8 months, 9 months, I've been unemployed, working very inconsistently on this YouTube thing. And now the gravy train is ending. I'm running out of money. My mother can no longer support me. She's retired. So the reality of life and adulthood is finally starting to set in for the first time.
Yeah.
And I have got to be honest, it is absolutely terrifying. One piece of advice I could give is, unless you're smart enough and disciplined enough to treat it correctly, and maybe only treat it as like a stepping stone, do not take a nepotistic job. Again, I can't speak for everybody. You got a family business, like a family-owned business, and you're working for your parents, or that's fine, whatever. But if you get an in a company, especially if you get an in their department with a family member, especially if they're in a position of authority, I don't even know how they allow that kind of shit, but like I wouldn't allow that in my company. But don't go for it, because I worked at this place for 12 years, basically my entire 20s.
Oh, it was good that you held a job for that long.
Most of my 20s and a little bit into my 30s. And I'm not going to totally blame the nepotism. I'm not trying to blame my mom here. But I can speak from experience, at least for me. Again, it might not apply to everybody, but for me, the nepotism thing, it just, the whole time I was working there, it was this extremely toxic environment. I knew I didn't belong there. Don't get me wrong, like, I could do the job. It's not a hard job, but, I got there from someone else, and as a result, I never appreciated it. I always took it for granted. I was lazy. I was late every single day, sometimes showing up 45 minutes late. They were pretty chill about that kind of stuff. Like, you get in like 10 minutes late, it's not a big deal, but, and I pushed that shit every day, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It was ridiculous, sometimes an hour, ridiculous. I always worked the number of hours I needed to, although not diligently, but I would show up late constantly. And while they may not say it to your face, all of your coworkers are thinking it, exactly what you're thinking. This fucking loser.
Yeah,
and as a result,
that's how it is with the workforce. They really will look down and do and think some silly shit about you. I mean, even if he were to not to be late, and even if he were to still do his job, coworkers will still talk shit, even in other departments. I'm having had to happen to me recently, and I've been on top of my work and coming like earlier on time, but still, they still think shit. That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like about the workforce.
And, like, even if you wanted to, which to be fair, I didn't, because I've been depressed and a pothead the whole time, Coomer. But even if I wanted to be friends with my coworkers,
I like how you said,
I'd have to really, really work, because you're always in that scenario kind of looked down upon a little bit. Rightly so. I'm not blaming them. And I did myself no favors by not really applying myself, just coasting the whole time, which just made it worse. Like, I was just confirming their prejudice and stereotype. I was just living up to it. I was just, yeah, that's who he is. That's what he is. And I didn't care about the job. I didn't appreciate it. I could have worked my way up the ladder a little bit, gotten more responsibilities, applied myself. I'm a smart guy. I like to think I'm a relatively well-spoken guy. I could have navigated the corporate environment, hierarchy. I even had my supervisor who fired me, and I think didn't like me by the end of it. She only was my supervisor for like a year, my manager for like a year before I got fired. At first, she liked me, and she even spoke well of me to the owner of the company. She said I was smart and stuff. By the end of it, when she got to know me and got to work with me for a year and a half, by the end of it, I don't think she probably thought I was smart, but she knew that I had many other qualities that kind of crowded out the intelligence. Lack of discipline, laziness, depression, anxiety. I don't like to blame those things, but they don't help. They contribute to the problem. And it's ultimately your responsibility to deal with that. Like, as a business, no one cares that you're depressed. That's your job.
Yeah.
You're just there to make them money. They don't care about your personal problems. That's your responsibility. That's
that is absolutely true.
Your problems are your problems. An employer, they don't give a shit, and they shouldn't give a shit. It's not their responsibility. If they gave a shit about that, they wouldn't be making money.
Again, I just like how self-aware he is. He's pointing out the negatives. He's like, yeah, work is work. They don't give a shit about your feelings. They don't care if you're depressed. That's how it is. That's how they make money. And
place when you come to a profession, a career, whatever, you're presenting yourself as an asset to a team to help that team make money.
Yeah.
And anything that undermines your ability to be an asset to that team, it doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter if you have a sob story. It doesn't matter if you really can justify it and give a good explanation for why you are the way you are. It doesn't matter. Money talks, bullshit walks.
Yeah.
You need to perform. And they're not there to be your friend. They're not there to be your counselor. They're not there to be your mommy or your daddy that you didn't have. They're there to make money, and you're there to help them make money. And they're going to pay you some of that money. I lost my train of thought. I don't even know what I was talking about now. This is why, another reason, don't smoke pot. Another advice, don't smoke pot. So stupid. I haven't smoked in a little bit. Like 15 minutes.
Oh, man. See, he knows he that part of him wants to change for the better. He wants to change for the better, and he's telling guys, especially young folks out there, hey, don't be like me, all right? Don't be like me. I fucked up my life. Look where I'm at. So don't be like me. He's doing a lot of favors for people. And I would even say, even for himself too. He wants to change. I could see that. And I mean, he may be broke and struggling with money, but since he's got that new office job now, he said he was making 21 an hour in his job of 12 years, 21, 22-ish. So he's probably making like maybe 25, okay, in that area. So hopefully that'll help turn himself around, save up some money for himself so that he can just build a future for himself, I mean, 35, yeah, it's up there with the old range, but that's still, it's still far from retirement, which is 60 something. So I have confidence in him.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I worked there for 12 years, didn't apply myself, never got promoted, got a few raises to keep up with inflation, barely, didn't probably. But I did not get promoted because they were out to get me. I didn't get promoted because I offered nothing worth promoting. And then, because of that, this most recent round of layoffs, I'm sure most of the department that I worked in is probably still working there because they had their shit together. A couple of them, I know, it was like 2 or 3 people who got laid off around the same time I did. And it was already a lean department. There's probably only like 3 or 4 or 5 people left. But, I'm sure most of them, if not all, are still there because they're good workers. They're a value add to the company, and they deserve it. But I didn't. So I got fired, laid off, downsized, whatever you want to call it. But whatever you want to church it up. I couldn't keep my job, but other people did. So call it fired if you want. And then about 6 months later, I turned 35 years old. And when I got fired, I had a small 401k, about $20,000, $25,000. And I did. I cashed it out.
Yeah, not much.
I used it to
I
buy.
mean, I'm not trying to bash the situation, but yeah, it's not much for a 12 year, you know, like he probably didn't put anything in the first few years of it, and then probably realized, hey, I need to get my shit together. I got to put in retirement, probably like in the last 6 years of this job that he
pay
had
off my car.
do that.
It's probably the only good financial decision I've ever made is to pay off my car. My car has less than 70,000 miles on it. It's a Toyota, so that could probably last me a little while if I take care of it.
And he said less than 7,000, not 70,000. The captions are sometimes inaccurate.
Payment anymore. I do, however, have credit card debt and a personal loan, totaling about less than $10,000 in debt. But last couple of months, and again, I am laying it all out here. You know, it's embarrassing to say. The last couple of months, I have been missing payments. Still don't have a job. Why don't you have a job? Because I'm a fucking idiot. I have been looking. I just went to Cumberland Farms for an interview that I had scheduled, and they weren't even hiring. Isn't that great? You apply on Indeed. They automatically enroll you for an interview. You spend all this time filling out these forms. You schedule the interview, but you never actually dealt with a person. And I show up. The lady has no idea what I'm talking about. Apparently, the computer systems. I'm assuming they simply just didn't take the time to toggle a setting to not automatically interview people. But either way, it's still on me because I knew in the back of my head I haven't talked to a person yet. You know, I feel like there's not a security to this interview because I haven't spoken to a human being yet, and maybe I should call them or something. I never.
Well, what a miracle, though! Like he went from being unemployed to working at a supermarket, and then out of a miracle got another office job that pays even better. So, and it's at a perfect timing because, like he said on his future videos, that it would be the winter and it'd be raining, so it would be bad for him. So, yeah, that's good that he's doing better now. But yeah.
And then a few days later, I show up bright and early at 9 a.m., which for me is very difficult right now because my sleep schedule is so messed up. I'm basically up all night. And I show up there half asleep but trying to look presentable for Cumberland Farms. And no interview. No idea what I was talking about.
Oh, man.
And for a minute, I was really crestfallen. Part of me was relieved because I don't want to work at Cumberland Farms. And I went home to my mother. And I was just like, I don't know, I wouldn't say I was distraught when I got home. By the time I got home, I kind of calmed down and I was like, whatever. And I was looking at my Indeed resume, and I applied to a couple of places that were kind of similar to what I used to do. Haven't gotten any calls back on those. I need to interview for like 100 a day. I understand I have to do that. But these are the skill set I do not have, and I have to rapidly learn. But I was looking at my Indeed resume, and I read it out loud. I'm not going to do that here, but I read it out loud, and I read it to my mom, and she listened, and we both kind of agreed. She, obviously, she told me, and I kind of agreed and felt good about that. It was a good description of my job, right? You put your job in the resume, the years that you were there, and then you had a little blurb explaining what you were doing. And it's kind of a way to both signal the kind of work you were doing, but also the kind of person you are through the way you present it, with writing and persuasive writing, marketing yourself a little bit without being clumsy about it. And we both agreed it was a good blurb, a good resume blurb, whatever you want to call it. It was intelligent, it was cogent, it was comprehensive. Although there's one duty I realized I forgot to add to it, I have to go and add. But it's comprehensive, it was clear, well written. It kind of highlighted some softer skills I have.
I think he's talking about the resume stuff. Let's skip a little bit.
I made the decision, well, maybe I shouldn't set my sights so low, right? Maybe I shouldn't just go to Cumberland Farms. I'm going to have to work retail or something in the short term because I need money. I need income.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've been applying to these more adjacent positions at companies, title companies, mortgage companies, banks, that kind of thing. And in doing this, I thought my sights were set on something a little higher and more ambitious than retail. Because I realized, retail, especially 35 years old, you think, I'm just going to do it for a year or two. I'll get my feet under me, and then you wake up at 50 years old and you're still working retail. It's really easy, especially if you make it work and you get enough jobs and you put enough hours together that you can pay your basic rent at a shitty apartment. And then because you're working so many hours, it's so soul crushing, the jobs that you're doing and the compensation you're getting.
It really is. It really is, especially if you're at an older age, though. Like you kind of get looked down upon when you're working these kinds of jobs, and But of course, like with this economy, it's pretty common to see people, especially above 35 or 40, working these retail jobs.
Left, or ambition left, energy, happiness.
It's hard.
Good vibes left.
Especially customer service.
To go to school, to set your sights higher, to start a business, whatever it is, just becomes kind of enough, and you're also so depleted at the end of it that the effort required to get out of it is just too much. And the older that you get, the less energy you have.
Yeah.
So it just compounds and compounds.
The less energy and the less tolerance you have.
While I was in this
and he's still smoking.
Recalibrating my abilities and capabilities, setting my sights a little higher than Walmart or Burger King.
It's addicting.
I'm not going to name the field only because if I do get into this, I want as much as possible to keep my professional and my streaming life separate. So I'm not going to give too many details on the exact field. I feel bad about this because I want to be totally open and honest, but at the same time, just for risk mitigation, I have to be a little bit opaque about this. But suffice to say, the field is, business oriented, kind of, not business owning, but business oriented. And if you spend your time to upskill and all that, and you put in crazy hours for a few years, and you're really driven and hungry, you can make decent money. Not millionaire status, but you can make a few $100,000 if you're really good and you go to the higher levels. But even at like the lower and mid levels, you can make, high 5 figures, sub 6 figures, which is not great, especially depending on where you live, but it's a lot better than Walmart. So I kind of consider getting into it. So then when you decide to get into something like this, you research everything, you look up all the pros and cons, you read Reddit posts by people who are doing it. And
it's worth the try.
I get a lot of mixed messages. Some people hate their job, some people like it. Some people say AI and outsourcing and all this is replacing everything. Some people say it isn't.
All right, let's see what
I
else.
get away with that for like 2 to 3 years, trying to not like just sitting around thinking, but actually going after things and seeing if they work. But again, by then I'll be 37 years old, 38. I'll be almost 40 years old, just figuring out what I want. I'll be way behind the ball. My earning potential will be crippled.
Okay, you know what? I would say it might be a try, but of course, at an older age, you're gonna go back, try to study it, and by the time, like you said, 37, 38, 39, 40, you're already like, I mean, and you never know. What if that particular job is unavailable, and then you spent those years, and then now you're already like 40 years old, and you're unemployed again. You're behind, and you're also have like $60,000 in debt too. So that's not good.
And there's no guarantee at the end of it to even have a job waiting. That's the reason. Like even during my 20s, which now is like when I was 20, that's 15 years ago. Even back then, I did go to community college. I got a community college associate's gen ed degree. It took me 4 years to get a gen ed degree from a community college.
Oh.
But I didn't really take education seriously, schooling seriously, because you're told college is worthless. College degrees are worthless. You can't get a job with a college degree. Even to get a college degree, there are no jobs out there to get. So, and they're all liberal lipshits in college. So I was just like culturally, I wasn't built for it. And I hate sitting in the goddamn classroom. I'm just not that kind of person. So I didn't go to college, really. I didn't really get a degree. And more importantly, I didn't get any real experience or skill sets or marketable skill sets in my 20s that I could now leverage in my 30s. And again, you hear people, I've read these stories, I'm trying to be vague, of people with like 15 years experience all over different industry, high certifications, high credentials, and even they're having a hard time finding work.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about now at 35, man. Just potentially getting into it. Not really being done with my schooling until
I would take it back. No, I wouldn't go back to school. Just stick to what you got.
Like 39, 40 years old. It's gonna take, if I want to get a bachelor's, it's gonna take at least 4 years. And if I'm doing that while I'm working full time, am I gonna get it done in 4 years? Maybe it takes me 5 or 6.
It's a lot to think
about. For a brief
about.
moment when I had decided to do this thing, a lot of the anxiety went away because I had direction that I was going to do something. But now I'm back to kind of feeling crestfallen. I didn't think about this initially. I didn't think about this until tonight, actually. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I want to be a content creator. I want to be a streamer. I want to play video games. I want to crack jokes. I want to do stuff like this, talk and just chill and meet people, talk to people. I want to do that. I know it's hard to do that as a full-time job. And like I said earlier, like even if you manage to get lucky.
It is risky. And of course, I would say since he has a good amount of subs, of course, keep going at it. Make sure if he wants to do this whole YouTube thing full time. I mean, I know he mentioned previously that it's too risky, but let's just say if he were to, then make sure he's especially for everybody, gotta have like at least a year of savings in case you need to fall back on it, because these things are unstable. You don't want to be like Dark Side Phil, who just went all in with his YouTube channel and then he's e-begging all the time because his view counts are low. You don't want to be like that, struggling.
Turn it into a full-time job. You never know, which way the winds are blowing in terms of your audience. You could be really relevant and successful for a year, 2, 3, 5 years, and then no one cares anymore. You're too old. You get lazy, whatever. Just the niche that you're in just is no longer viable. Like I want to do largely like video game kind of stuff. And then I'm reading lately that Gen Alpha doesn't play video games. They're playing all mobile games now. No one plays video games. So I'm like, I don't think video games will ever go away. And gamers are aging with me. Like the average gamer is like my age now. But things like that can happen. Algorithmic changes. You say something you shouldn't, and you get demonetized or banned. I mean, I want to be kind of a funny guy, so there's that risk as well. You're still working.
Everything is risky.
You're a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or whatever. There are other places like Rumble and Kick, but the two main games in town are Twitch and YouTube, and those are often worked together in tandem with each other in the streamer kind of thing. And you're working for a couple of bosses, either of which could fire you at any time. And if you're trying to be a funny guy, maybe a little edgy, there is that risk that you want to follow their guidelines and they can just turn it off overnight. You are fucked.
Oh man,
so
yeah.
Well, I definitely do want to do this YouTube thing, and I do want to create stuff, stream, crack jokes, whatever. I can't look at it. And again, if I was 20 or 25, sure. If I was 20, try it out, do it.
Yeah, you can afford to be broke. You can afford to try it out and screw up if you're in your 20s, but 30 plus you can't.
If you get banned or it doesn't work out in 5 years, you're 25. You can do something else. But now I'm 35. So again, we come back to that. Once you get over that 30, it's like your time. You don't have time anymore. Your time, you do, but it's a lot less, and you have to start thinking more strategically about what you do with your time. And things have to have more immediate returns for you to consider them, because more immediate and secure returns to consider them, because you don't have the time. You don't have the time. You have less energy.
Yep, that's true. And let me see what else he's got here.
It kind of took all the wind out of my sails, because for a few days I was riding high. I was like, I think I finally have some direction. It's practical. It's tangible. It's realistic. It pays okay. It's a real thing. But if I pursue this, does that mean I have to quit doing this? Now, I haven't even really started doing this. I'm super early in this process of YouTube, content creation, all that. But if I go deeper, if I spend 4 or 5 years in school, and all the while I'm working on this YouTube thing and it starts picking up, what happens? What happens if I spend that time and money to go to school, get my degree, come out, get a job, and then I lose it in a year, 2 years, because I got doxxed or canceled or whatever? So then I was like, well, then I have to choose then. Like, I have to do this thing or I have to do YouTube. But neither option is viable. If I just did this thing and I quit YouTube, I might as well just kill myself now. I'm not advocating that. Suicide is horrible, and you're devastating the lives of everyone.
Watch out for
you don't even know.
Yeah, watch out for your channel if you say stuff like that.
And it's a temporary solution to it. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But if I had to give up YouTube or content creation entirely, I would be miserable. I'd be working this job. I wouldn't be making a shitload of money, and I would always feel like I'm leaving my soul on the table. Like I'm taking my soul out, I'm putting it in an envelope, and I'm handing it to my employer. He's taking it and putting it in a drawer. And in exchange for that envelope with my soul in it, he gives me a paycheck each week. And probably not even a great one, to be honest. Yeah. Probably just barely enough to afford a studio. It's the most degenerate form of content. You could have hardcore gay pornography on YouTube. It would be less degenerate than these shorts fake reactor channels, because they're not even reacting. They're not saying anything. They're just making faces, and the faces aren't even legit. They're fake mugged faces where they're going like,
yeah,
they're pretending like they're holding
you've seen those. You've seen those shorts videos where they're just pretending they're reacting. Those are fake, by the way. Anyways, I'm at the 30-minute, almost at the 30-minute mark. I'll just skip to the end and see what else you got to say. Other than that, it's a great video. Definitely check him out. He's a very real. He's just self-aware. He's doing whatever he can to just better himself, and I do see him, breaking out of this.
Scared, and I talked to my mom earlier. She was pretty good, but mothers, they tell you what you want to hear. They're nice people. They love you. Helped me a little bit, made me feel a little good, but not enough to totally assuage my fears. So then I was like, well, the job market's terrible. I wouldn't even be making that much money anyway. I'd be 40 years old when I start really in earnest. Just do the YouTube thing full time. But then all those things I mentioned. YouTube is a long shot in the best of conditions. It's a long shot, and
it's a struggle,
if you manage
man.
to get successful, it can be very short lived. And I would never be the kind of person who could be like Mr. Beast and just like be a beast at YouTube. Because sure, like Mr. Beast, yeah. If you get Mr. Beast levels, you do it for 5 years, you're set for life.
Oh yeah, you do it for just 2 or even 1 year, you're already set. You already made money set for life. A young kid is already making a ton of money.
If you get that big, you're set for life, and you only have to work 5-10 years. And you don't have to work ever again. But again, am I going to be the next Mr. Beast? Probably not. Again, I wouldn't make that kind of content.
Here.
That kind of content just isn't.
I'm too scummy
too. It would feel
myself.
like a desk job, just be a soulless extraction of money for something that I'm not really invested in spiritually. So I don't know what to do. That's the whole video. This isn't going anywhere. This doesn't have a resolution yet. Maybe we'll find out in a year's time if it does.
All right, I think that's about it for now. Yeah. I mean, he definitely depicts the kind of like lost, confused, trying to figure out what your life direction kind of thing. I don't think I remember him talking about the whole girlfriend thing. So of course he's not going to be like one of those black pill, but it's just one of those like simply just struggling with finances, struggling to find direction, those kinds of things. It's tough, man. This is the common thing that many people nowadays are going through, even normies too. It's tough, trying to trying to make ends meet and trying to catch up with this dreaded economy. But since he's living at home with his mom, I mean, and he's working that new job, probably making 25, 26 bucks an hour, he has the opportunity to save up and then just save up that FU money, save up for the future, for 401k, rebuild that 401k again. I mean, you know, I but I was gonna say, like, I know at 35, I mean, 20 grand in 12 years doesn't seem like a lot, but I'm not bashing on it. I know he's doing what he can do, but hopefully in this next round he'll be able to recover himself and just continue bettering for himself. But we'll see. We'll see how he's doing at his current job once he uploads it. Yeah, that's about it. The links in the description down below. Thanks for watching this. Let me know what you guys think, you know, about this guy, if I'm off based or if I'm accurate or what. But yeah, but please be respectful, by the way. So, anyways, thanks everyone. It's already 31 minutes long, way too long. I'm gonna just end it right now.